Okay guys, so today I want to do a video on parts of a bridle. Now understanding the parts of the bridle is very important. That way you know how to put the bridle on and where things are supposed to go and how it fastens onto the horse's head and so forth. So I'm going to start off with my Western bridle first, and then I'll move on to an English bridle because they do have some differences and a couple of different pieces of tack. So Western bridles can be very, very simplistic, and I'll explain what I mean by that after I go over all the pieces. But so this is my my Western bridle with an English hackamore. It's a bit strange that I have an English hackamore on a Western bridle, but this is my favorite kind of hackamore, so that's just the kind that I use. So the first part are the reins, which you use to steer with, for the most part. Very basic information. So the next you have the crown piece. Now you have the crown piece of itself, and then you have the crown piece of the throat latch. The throat latch is this piece here, and that connects underneath the horse's jaw, or behind the horse's jaw, and keeps the bridle in place. The brow band goes across the horse's forehead and just gives it a little bit more security. Then you have the cheek pieces, which allow the bridle to move up or down depending on the length of your horse's head. And then what most Western bridles do not have is this nose band. For the most part, a Western bridle, as long as it is not a hackamore, it will not have a nose band. So this is very different from most Western bridles. As I said, most Western bridles do not have this. Then you have the shank of the hackamore, and then what's called the curb strap. This is a very, very gentle curb strap. It is made of leather, so it has a little bit of give to it without giving the horse a lot of pressure or pain, whereas a chain would cause that pressure or pain. So what I meant before by Western bridles can be very simplistic is the most simplistic bridle that you can have for a Western horse is simply a bit, the cheek pieces, and the crown piece. The throat latch, the brow band, and the curb strap are all optional. You don't have to have them. Some people like it, some people don't. I personally prefer to have the throat latch, the brow band, and the curb strap, which on a hackamore you have to have, or else this will just fly off the top of the horse's head. Because I find that it gives a little bit more security in the bridle. If you don't have a throat latch, your bridle is more prone to falling off the horse's head. With the brow band, it's not as big of a deal, although it can make it so that the bridle slips back too far on the horse's neck. So those are the parts of the Western bridle. Now I'm going to move on to the English bridle. Here we have Susan's English bridle. I don't have an English bridle, so I'm using hers as an example. So again, you have your reins, which these ones are braided reins, which are very, very fancy. And English reins, which are different than connected Western reins, because they have this little buckle. The reason why it has this buckle is so that you can put on a martingale, because you put it on over top of the reins. It's a lot easier than putting it on via the bit. Western reins come either in the connected, which I have on my bridle, or they come in a split rein variety, which are much longer. English reins are always leather, though some of them have a fabric over the top of them. The reason why those reins have the colors on them is so that the instructor can tell you what color you need to put your hand on so that it goes with the horse's neck length. That way you know how much contact you need to put on the bit. And Western reins can come in either a fabric variety or in leather. Another thing that English reins have that Western reins don't are these little stoppers. What these stoppers do is they stop the martingale. So the martingale will run along here, but as soon as it gets to these little stoppers, it's not going to go any further. So just like with the Western bridle, you have your crown piece. However, this crown piece has another crown piece hidden underneath it. I'll show you what this goes to in a minute. As well as the throat latch, which is this piece here. These two pieces are the throat latch. It's connected to the crown piece. So this is one piece that splits into two, whereas with the Western bridle, it's two separate pieces altogether. And then you have your brow band, and you have your cheek pieces that come down. If I move that out of the way, you have your cheek pieces that come down and they attach to the bit. Again, this moves the bridle up or down depending on how long your horse's head is. And then the final piece is the cavesson. Some people call this a noseband, some people call it a cavesson, but the cavesson is the correct term for it. And the crown piece that's hiding underneath the big crown piece is the cavesson's crown piece. So the cavesson also has cheek pieces that move up or down depending on your horse's neck length, or depending on your horse's head length, I'm sorry. Now, some English bridles have what's called a flash, which goes in front of the bit. So if you have a flash, what the flash will do, if I can hold on to this, the flash will come down in front of the bit so that it holds it in more on the horse's mouth. A lot of people like to use the flash if they have a horse that likes to evade the bit, or what some people call running away with the bit. It's meant to keep the bit in the horse's mouth so that they can't open their mouth up. Now in English bridles, you have these little pieces of leather that run up and down the bridle. These are just little keepers. You put them around the ends of your buckles so that it keeps the buckle from moving. It's just an extra keeper. There's one at the top by the buckle, and then there's one further down that moves up and down, so that if you have to make it longer or shorter, that keeper will go up and down with it. That way you don't have anything flying off the horse's head. So I hope this video helped, guys, on parts of the bridle. If you have any more questions, leave those in the comment section and I'll get to them as soon as I can, and we're going to end it there.